Hey YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode here on ESGNet of ESGN Presents Sports Gamers Soapbox Podcast Talk. Here, this is episode, I believe, this is episode number 10. This is number 10, our first, first set of 10 shows now. We got a lot of things to talk about this week. We got things pretty much dabbling a little bit everywhere in the world of sports. I got some little bits of news and notes, and then of course, as always, on my soapbox on some issues that are going on. And I got a few right now things we're going to talk about here today. Of course, talk about the story pretty much of the week. The NBA Finals have wrapped up, and the NBA champions, they can finally be proud of their team. That city can finally, rest in peace now with a championship of one of the three, or four more major sports. That being the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cavaliers win the NBA Finals. LeBron James company win that. We got some news on that. Also, some funny news about that. The reason why people were wondering what was up with a story about Barack Obama and his dealings with the NBA Finals. Also, I got news, actually some local news really about the NBA Finals. A coach from that winning for the championship team, Cavaliers, gets a local honor in Mexico, Missouri. We'll tell you about that. Also, NHL is talking about having a new expansion team here start the 2017-2018 season, and it'll be in Sin City. We got news on that. Also, rumors about Dwight Howard and Kevin Durant possibly opting out of their contract and using the free agency here to possibly move. Not to mention, we have a breaking news that was really shocking to a lot of people. We got news on Rose, where he's going to be going to for the 2016-2017 season. And also in other news, NFL news, got some news on the Raiders. Got some more developing news about them and possibly where they'll be playing out here very soon. And then some MMA news, and not to mention a review of WWE Money in the Bank. So we'll get all to that here as we kick off the show. And welcome to the show. I'm going to talk about some things here this week about what is going on in the world of sports. Got a lot of interesting stories going on. Let's go ahead and get started. First off, let's get started with big news here today. If you're a fan of ESPN, ESPN just released some images and a couple of other names here for the annual series they call the Body Issue, where a lot of professional athletes from all walks of life, football, NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, tennis, and of course now the Olympics will be coming around, so we got a couple Olympic stars in there. Name some of the men and women are going to be in this particular issue, which will be in stores, I believe, next Tuesday. You got Jake Arrieta for the Cubs, Antonio Brown, and NFL superstar. You got some other names. Let's see. You got Conor McGregor. MMA star Von Miller, of course, the big star from the Super Bowl win there for the Denver Broncos. Also got Dwayne Wade. Who else? You got a couple boxers. Clarissa Shields, she's an Olympian boxer. And you got Greg Louganis, a former diver, an Olympian himself, in that issue. And also too, you got Vince Wilfork of the NFL. And it was actually a pretty funny story. He was actually shocked and surprised that his name was mentioned, of course, this was back a couple months ago when they shot or they decided who the people who they're going to shoot and take pictures for or with. And he was like, kind of just thought it was a sick joke from his buddies from the locker room. But his agent told him, no, this is a real deal. We're gonna put you. They want you on the cover and stuff like that. And he said, why do they want to see, a big round shaped man like I am? And but he did it because he's big and round, and bodies come in all shapes and sizes. So big up to Vince Wilfork on that. But the issue comes out on Tuesday. So I know there's a lot of people that are fans of it. For whatever reason, not gonna judge. But yeah, there's 10 men and 9 women will be appeared in the article. There's a link down below in the description there for you guys to see who the rest of the people in it. But I just named some of the people that were involved in that project there, and it's a really popular issue for a lot of people. I mean, people are kind of curious to see what these athletes look like, and honestly, they look like everybody else. Some of them are in good shape, some not so. But that's the whole point of the body issue. So, but it's kind of convert or trying to transition to the next topic on the list here today. Got a little bit of the Olympic news here. I was going to try to save it off until we get too closer to the Olympics. As we all know, the Olympics right now is just pretty much a free fall here in Rio. You got issues of water pollution. You have issues with the state of the country. The president was overthrown overnight, literally overnight removed from office, and a new person was placed in there. You got a high crime rate. You got some of the buildings right now are not even completely done yet. A lot of the venues down there, and it's just a lot of issues going on. And it seems like that always happens wherever the Olympics are going. But right now, with the Olympics itself, there is an issue when it comes to to the athletes. The doping. An anti-doping agency that the Olympics use has said over this past week said they're going to suspend the company that is testing the athletes' blood when they get down to Rio. They do that because they want to check to see who's been doping, who's been using steroids, and of course there's a long list of things they're not supposed to be using. But the World Anti-Doping Agency on Friday said that they're going to suspend the laboratory for the Rio Games, and they're going to have now widen the global doping crisis, and they're going to do it. Well, of course, now we're only 6 weeks away from the games. They're going to go to an international base where they're going to go to 6 different companies worldwide to help out with the doping testing and stuff like that. Apparently, they're not ready yet, and there's just a lot of wonder and a lot of unsureness about the company they're currently using right now, and that kind of makes me wonder, like, are they, what are the games going to be like? Because there's been, the last time we had an issue with, the games going unsmooth, it was back in '96, the Olympic, park bombing. Even before that, last time we had a serious incident was probably back in the Munich games, which I believe was in the '60s. So, with all this issues of the Olympics, it's kind of making a lot of people wonder. There's already a huge amount of athletes, mainly a lot of NBA guys, have decided to bow out of the Olympics and not take part of it. I know Westbrook has said so. I think Durant. I can't think of any other names. but I know there's quite a few names there that have decided not to even do anything apart with because of the games, because there's so many things that are going wrong for them right now. So hopefully the Olympic committee can get that figured out. And right now the confidence in a lot of Olympics athletes right now it's pretty low. This is last time we had I can't really think of a country that had this many problems when getting just months or even of course they announce these games what cities they're going to go to for in years in advance to get these cities ready to get things done. And it seems like Rio is not even they're not even having they got a jump start and they didn't even get off the starting blocks yet. So hopefully they can turn things around. Hopefully the games will be fun, because I look forward to the Olympics every 4 years to see what is going on with other world athletes, and not to mention see some of these things. See some of these athletes, what they can do. Not just the athletes here in the States, but also worldwide, what they can do. Honestly, I think my favorite Olympics by far are the Winter Olympics, because you got curling, which is so very interesting how it comes about, and of course hockey. I'm not a big time hockey fan, but when it comes to Olympic hockey and stuff like that, seeing the team nations come together and play hockey like they did a couple years ago there in Russia, and even before that I can't think where the other games were before Russia. I think it's just so much fun that just get caught up in all that and whatnot, and plus the time difference, because a lot of times a lot of those games, if there's international, they're over on the other side of the world. There's we're seeing them at late night, early morning, or vice versa. So it's pretty interesting how this is all going to pan out, because like I said, there's so much right now. London, the last games were in London. The last games were in London. They had issues. Beijing had issues. They had, they had, of course, their pollution issues, and it's still having issues with that. Matter of fact, the stadium they built was, I don't think it's even being used right now. London, I think they're using some of the buildings that were left there from the Olympics. Some of them are not. So and then that's the biggest issue right there. It's like, okay, the Olympics come in here, they build all this stuff up, and then what are we going to use them afterwards? I think the only successful ones I've heard is Los Angeles, back in the 80s when they had the Olympics there. And then when Atlanta had theirs, they used they turned the Olympic Stadium to Turner Field, which now this is of course their last year in that building. They've been in there for almost 20 years. So I've heard there's some good positive things, and then there's, of course, there's the bad. And I just hope the games run smoothly. I hope we don't have no terrorist issues or anything like that, because honestly, this is for something very special. Not just for the world, but also for those athletes, and they worked their butts off. A lot of these athletes have worked their butts off since day one, being in the gym, especially the gymnasts and all that kind of stuff. They've been there for hours, for years, and just put in a lot of time to have be able to get a chance to show the world what they can do, and that's something I would like to see. I like to see all of them do well, and I don't want to see anybody have any issues when it comes to terrorist type stuff. We've seen that stuff back just not too long ago, just about 2 months ago there in Paris at that soccer tournament there, and that's something really scary. Hopefully we don't have nothing like that, and hopefully security can really step up their game and really protect these athletes, and then not just the athletes, but the fans that are coming to go see them. So, hopefully they can get that turned around. You can read that article down below in the description. It's from the Wall Street Journal there. It's a pretty good read right there. You guys can check that out. Now we're going to move on to hockey, and we're going to look at NHL. NHL announced over this past week, I believe it was on Tuesday, that the start of the 2017-2018 season, they will have a Las Vegas team. Yes, Las Vegas will have a team officially to kick off the 2017-2018 there at the T-Mobile Arena. They've pretty much got the venue and whatnot. A lot of people are asking, why are Las Vegas getting the honor to have a team expansion teams? Of course, they'll have an expansion draft, and that'll come into effect. But a lot of people are wondering why, of all places, Las Vegas getting one. And according to a spokesman for the NHL, the last time they had a NHL, new teams, of course, it was the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Minnesota Wild back in 2000 and 2001. The first four, major sports to have a team rooted and started from the ground up in Sin City. Of course, the NFL right now they're looking at the Raiders are looking at moving to Las Vegas. We got a story about that here later on. We'll get to that. Major League Baseball doesn't have one there, and they're a little skittish about having something like that. A team in Vegas, even though they do have a minor league team there, which I forgot which organization's minor league team that is. NBA. So this will be the first, for the major sports here in America will have a team here. And a lot of people are saying that it, which side, what are they going to be on? Well, they'll be on the Western Conference Pacific Division. They will. It says that the Eastern Conference will have 16 teams. The Western Conference will have 15. The NHL will hold an expansion draft at some point where the Las Vegas will be required to have one draft pick, one draft player from each team in the league. So Las Vegas, they'll get basically what they'll do is all the other teams there will give up a player that they think that would help that team out, and that's how they'll go about it. And then of course, then the next year they'll go with a regular draft pick to introduce team. And again, a lot of people are still asking why. Well, I think there was in the article, if you look down below down there in the description, they talk about cities like Seattle and Quebec City possibly having a chance to have a team, but what Seattle's problem is Seattle doesn't have a building. They're still having issues with having the opportunity to have a venue. Then this is the same thing that went on when they lost the Seattle Supersonics, which now are the Oklahoma City Thunder, and that's why the Seattle Seahawks left and went to they were in New Orleans there for a while, and then they were in Oklahoma City, and then decided to stay in Oklahoma City, and then rebrand themselves as the Thunder. And currently, and then of course with the Quebec City right now, with what happened this past week, with England and how they're with budget issues like that and the economy and whatnot. Quebec City's not in the running right now. They were. But they're just having a lot of financial issues right now. The economics there are just not there right time for them to have a club there. So, but there are talks about having those two. It'll be the next two cities that could have a team there, and I think it's pretty interesting. I mean, for me, I know locally here, I know a lot of people are Blues fans. There's a lot of people I know that live in Kansas City to travel to St. Louis on a regular basis to go see the Blues play. I know I don't know if they still do it, but I know they have a couple of preseason games there at the Sprint Center, and there has actually been some talks about having a professional hockey team there in Kansas City, and of course I was wondering, I'm like, okay, it would have to be something dealing with you got the Chiefs, you got the Royals, at one time you had the Wizards, which are now Sporting KC, and they moved over from the Missouri side to the Kansas side. But I was, it'd be kind of cool to see, a team that you can root for. I would love to go to a hockey game there in Kansas City. Even though I'm not a homer, I don't follow the Royals or the Chiefs on a regular basis. I do know a lot of the players and stuff, but I don't root for them. But I would definitely root for an NHL team or even an NBA team. I think that'd be kind of cool to see. We did have the Kings way back in the day. I wasn't even around then, but we did have them. We did have a junior hockey team, I think it was, called the Kansas City Blade. That was around for a while there. They were actually a pretty successful hockey team, and then for whatever reason they just went away. I think right now there is they're not as, I can't remember. I don't think they're junior hockey. I think they're even smaller than that. But there's a new one called the Mavericks, the Kansas City Mavericks. And what I've heard and what I've seen, they play really good hockey. They're a really good hockey team. Not professional level or anything, but seems like there's a small group of people in this area that would like to see a hockey team, and I think Kansas City, I think it should go for it. I think, I would like to see something like that here in the future. Maybe even having more Blues games in Kansas City. They're at the Sprint Center, because honestly, the Sprint Center is not used as much as many people thought it was going to be used. There's a few concerts during the spring and the summer, but for the most part during the fall and the wintertime, it's kind of just dead unless there's a WWE event coming, or there's some usually it's some kind of really big name concert, some really big name artist that comes through and wants to do a concert here in KC. So usually other than that, it's just local stuff, local talent that have a small concert series there in the arena. But honestly, that arena is not used a lot, and a lot of people are saying, why did we build that? What was the purpose of building that? And a lot of people thought that maybe something professional basketball or hockey team were going to come in, and maybe, or that actually, I think it was trying to attract the college scene. You got KU, K-State, EMU, and try to have the Big 12 tournament and also the national team, national tournament there. Have the Final Four there and stuff like that. So. And as far as I know, I don't think they're going to be doing that here anytime soon. So, but we'll have to see. But yeah, I think that was a really cool article, and I thought that was really great to see. People there in the desert, instead of going down to Phoenix or San Jose or something like that, now they'll be able to stay there in Las Vegas and see a hockey there. So. Alright, now we're going to transition from actually talking about Vegas. Vegas now getting a hockey team now. Possibly now could be getting a football team. Recently in an article here, I believe, it was quoted by the people from Deadspin, said that the proposal for the Las Vegas Raiders stadium would cost taxpayers over $750 million in revenue to build it. Oakland lawmakers have firm and refused to pay a dime for public money towards a new stadium for the Raiders. And by the sounds of it, the city of Las Vegas says, "Hey, we could possibly fit the bill for you guys." According to a Bloomberg report, that would be a record for a public contributor to the NFL stadium, surpassing the $220 million tax money when they built the Lucas Oil Stadium there in Indiana. So it looks like the city there of Las Vegas are going to possibly get a dome stadium with $750 million of municipal bonds. So that means there'll be a hike increase in property taxes, of course, there in Nevada. And that would also, not to mention, be a huge tourist attraction for many people. People during the NFL season are going to, especially with a new team, people are going to be, there are diehard Raider fans that have never been to Vegas and now are going to be saving up and wanting to go to Vegas. So people that, from Oakland and around the Bay Area want to see their team, and they're still diehard Raiders fans. That's a tourist attraction right there. It's pretty much a honey hole right there for them to spend money and to grow the economy there in Las Vegas. And I think this could be one of my weird conspiracy things, but this I think it was set up from the get-go to benefit both the Raiders and for the city of Las Vegas. Of course, this, with this, they recently approved a hotel tax hike, and basically that's just gonna, raise the price of, tax-wise for hotels and restaurants and stuff, and so on and so forth for that. So, you're gonna be paying a little bit more in Vegas, but at the same time, hopefully with this new stadium that they're going to be building, you'll get your hopefully, by the sound of it, you're going to get your money's worth going to the stadium. So Mark Davis and the Raiders look like, by the sounds of it, of course I think it'll have to get approved by the NFL owners there, but by the sounds of it, it looks like it's going to be a done deal. So fans in Oakland, hey, you had your shot, which I don't blame them. The Raiders have not played very well here in the last couple of years, and if you're not playing well, and then you're wanting to ask for, the public, your people that are backing you for more money and to build a bigger and better and more state-of-the-art stadium, you have to realize, hey, they may not want to do that. They have the right to tell you guys no. In the same way on the other side, if you can't get the money from them, then if you want to stay there and be loyal, that's great. But it is a business at the end of the day, and you kind of have to make some changes. And one of the changes they're making is, hey, okay, you guys can't help us. We're going to take the team and we're going to go somewhere else. So. I hate to see a team like that, because this is their third or fourth time they've left Oakland or something like that, and now they're moving. Of course, there's been a lot of speculation they were going to go to San Antonio, because San Antonio's been looking for an NFL team. They want an NFL team, but of course, that extends to Jerry Jones. That's his territory. He wants to have the whole state of Texas be in love with the Cowboys and nobody else. And of course, you got down there in Houston now. You got the Texans, which the Cowboys pretty much dominated the state of Texas, but Houston decided to have a franchise again, and that's where they got the Texans now. So we'll see how that goes with all that. All right, now speaking of NFL stars, let's talk about some NFL stars right now that could be in some hot water. According to a Yahoo Sports writer, and also from a Al Jazeera American sports reporter, it said that NFL players were interviewed, and there were 6 names that were mentioned in this interview, or were interviewed at the time of this interview, talking about performance-enhancing drugs, and they could be possibly connected to a sting that the U.S. government is a part of right now. It says, according to the USA Today reporter, Tom Pasco, he says the NFL has notified the NFLPA conducting interviews with the Green Bay Packers, Clay Matthews, Julius Peppers, also Steelers Steelers middle linebacker James Harrison on this actually coming up here in about let's see here I think here early next week, I believe, because both teams will be starting their training camps here pretty soon. And also they wanted to talk to Mike Neal, a free agent NFL linebacker, about an article about an interview they had on Al Jazeera America, and it pretty much says something about this was the story. The story's about some players being named or being linked. Some players could be possibly linked to some allegations of using PEDs. In a recent sting from the United States government, it said that there was a list of names of some players, both in the NFL and Major League Baseball, and they want to interview these of course the guys I was just talking about. They want to interview them about possibly if they have any information about this investigation, which could lead to possibly, are they involved in using PEDs? Now, we all know about the whole Peyton Manning issue, how that went about. They also want to talk to him because his name apparently has been rumored, was on a list of names, and this is crazy. This is for honestly about Peyton Manning, if that is so true, that really to me personally, that really hurts his legacy, because I won't say he probably, if he has used it, I would say it was probably here in the last couple of years of his career, and in some ways you kind of back in your mind you had to kind of think like, yeah, could be because he had that surgery, and then also he had a miraculous season there where he was just he looked like he was he turned the clock back 10 years, and he's fresh as a daisy and playing very well now. And I don't know all thing, I'm not saying that he did or he didn't, but he probably, if he didn't, he probably was doing well. He trained better, he ate better, conditioning a lot more better, knowing pushing himself, and figuring out things he can't do and figuring out things he can do to make himself better for the upcoming season. That happens. That people do find ways to get themselves better and able to turn back the clock without any kind of enhancements. But at the same time, it's got me thinking that whole season, and then this past season, winning the Super Bowl and everything, it kind of got me in the back of my mind thinking like, hey, this, he could possibly, have actually used it or whatnot. Of course, his wife came to his defense there, and that right there is kind of a clear sign like, okay, now, if your wife's, going out of her way and come to defend, which, she has a right to, because that's her husband, she wants to, the shoes on the other foot, he would, protect her and come out and speak upon her, upon her behalf. But yeah, it just makes you wonder. But it says here a letter from the PA reads as quote, on January 11, 2016, the league notified Messer, Peppers, Neal, Matthews, and Harrison that it is intended on an investigation following an air of a Al Jazeera America documentary, which raised serious questions concerning their possibility of violating the NFL and NFLPA policy of performance-enhancing substances. The players were further advised that with their full and timely cooperation, the investigation would conducted experimentally with minimal disruption. So, as long as it looks like they're not, I'm not saying they did it or anything, but the NFL wants to have them come forward and talk about what was said in this interview, and if they have any information about the alleged rumor, and basically want them to come forward and saying, hey, are you taking PEDs? If you are, you need to come out and come forth about it. So they're, and to be quite honest, they need to be, there needs to be a punishment for that. What kind of punishment? I don't know. But they do need to be punished. It just hurts me that you got Peppers. Of course, now I think he's now retired now. And if he is retired, I don't think they can do too much to him. Matthews still young enough; he's still playing, and of course Harrison, I believe he's still playing another season with the Packers. I think he just re-signed a contract with, or the not the Packers, the Steelers there, and I think he has a couple more years than him. So we'll see how that goes. You guys can read more of the article down below. And of course, they refer to back, like I said, about Manning and his alleged, his wife receiving growth hormones, or the HGH drug there to help him out for his this past season in his career. So we'll see how this is going to play out. You guys can read more about that article down below in the description there, and check it out. Okay, speaking of NFL players, there's a news going around, or there's a rumor going around. I don't know how much coverage it's getting right now on TV or whatnot, but according to Adrian Peterson, he says him and his trainer James Cooper have he was talking to his trainer and whatnot, and apparently it got leaked and said that Adrian Peterson could possibly, of course he's the current Russian champion, could possibly decide to walk away from the game. He could possibly retire here soon. He is 31 years of age, so he's still pretty young. But he says that just the grind of the game and preparing for the game and the long off season for him is just too much, and he feels like he's just, there's just not, there's too much grinding and too much of just the, I guess, anticipation of the season for him. And he says, quote, the determining factor is how long I'll play, how much longer will I go through the tenement of the NFL life. So, I guess in some ways, I guess you could see that. I mean, you're constantly training because, you got your OTAs right now, you got your rookies coming in, you're training with them. You're also, trying to learn the new plays in the playbook, and you don't get much. A lot of these players don't have much time in between. From the very last week of the season, actually in some cases, up to the Super Bowl week, because a lot of guys are required to show up for Super Bowl week there at whatever city they're in because of press junkets and. Represent the team and whatnot for in the Super Bowl, especially if they're not in the Super Bowl. So you got a lot of things that they have to do off the field. Not to mention if you have endorsements with companies and you have to make appearances, you got to do all that kind of stuff. So a lot of these guys don't have much time to spend with their families. When they do, it's very limited, and that causes a lot of issues. I mean, with your family, you don't see your family not as much, and that's kind of the sacrifice you make being a NFL player. But he says that it's just physically, body wise, I'll be good, but it's just the mental side with the OTAs out there and practicing. I'm putting in work, but it's so repetitive. That is, it's getting kind of boring for him. So, if that passion, I guess, the fire, I guess, is fire that he has is not in him right now. And that can happen. I mean, especially if you're not having fun, and not by. And of course, a lot of people say, well, he's probably mad because he's not, winning. And so, well, yeah, that could be a factor right there. I mean, if you're winning, you're going to have fun. But if you're not having fun with the game, that you grew up loving and playing and wanted to do this as a profession, as a job. If you're not having fun and you don't have that burning desire anymore, at least he can see it. At least he admits it and says that if it's not there anymore, he wants to walk away, and I think rightfully so. So I tip my hat to him that he seems like there's nothing left for him to do, and he doesn't have the passion that he had going into the NFL. He wants to leave. He doesn't want to be there just to be a glory hound and just take up a spot in a roster, for a roster for that team. So I commend him on being honest about that. But that's something that you don't see too many players, really, not too many, or not really any really players that do that. With the exception of course, we had a couple guys who retired early. I think I mentioned this. There's a story out about a young guy. He played only 3 years or so. I think he was a Wisconsin. He played in Wisconsin. He was in the NFL for 2 or 3 years, and then he decided to call it done. He was done with it because with all the head injuries everybody was getting and all that kind of stuff, that he was more concerned about his his state of mind and his body and his mental capability. He didn't want to end up being in the NFL too that long, where he ended up getting head trauma and all that kind of stuff that players get when they're in the NFL too long. Because there's a lot of guys out there, and trust me, you guys know who I'm talking about. And there's several players out there that are older. Some of the older players are that they should have, they should have quit playing, 2 or 3 years ago. They got so many injuries right now that it's kind of like, man, why are you still out there? You're killing yourself, I mean, I understand if you still have the passion about playing and going again, you might have that passion still to play, but you got to know what your limit. And hopefully he'll change his mind. Hopefully he'll have a successful season with the Vikings there in Minnesota, and especially being in a new stadium now. The fans are going to be supporting that team a lot more. Because right now it looks like a beautiful venue. I've never been in it before. I'm hoping to get a chance to go up to Minnesota this fall to see family, and I hope to get a chance to go by there and see that stadium. But it looks like a beautiful stadium, and it looks like it's going to be a really it's going to be a good, because they'll be hosting the Super Bowl there, I think, but not this coming Super Bowl, but the next. So yeah, it's gonna be really nice to see something like that, and hopefully he'll stick around. Hopefully, hopefully he gets that passion back in his his belly there, that fire that drove him to come to the NFL. And with a little if you're winning, and also that really a little dash of winning always cures the ill there of wanting to come back and play even more. So. But yeah, you guys can read that article down there below. It's from ESPN.com article. Definitely check it out. It's a really good read, and I can't knock the guy for being concerned about that, and wanted to leave when he knows he needs to leave. Let's go to the NBA now, and we'll talk about the NBA Finals. Game 7 came down to the wire. Actually, it was pretty much a kind of a shock for me. I wanted the Cavs to win. Don't get me wrong, wanted them to win, but I really thought that Game 7 was going to be a big turnaround for the Golden State Warriors, as Golden State Warriors win that one there, and they win a championship. Now, Cleveland can now not worry about winning a championship now for quite a while now here, as they can a lot of them can die peacefully, I guess, now as they see now a championship from the 4 major sports now in their city. But we'll get to this. We'll get to the numbers and whatnot for the game, but we'll get to the little story here The head coach there of the Cavaliers, Tyronn Lue, he was actually born in Mexico, Missouri. Now, Mexico, Missouri is it's about, I would say about an hour or two north of Kansas City. He played at Raytown High, and he went to the University of Nebraska, played basketball there. But after the win there, one of the 3 stops that he made after the Cavs won was back home. And the city of Mexico actually shut down in honor of him. And of course, the high school tweeted out this: "Congratulations to Tyronn Lue and the Cavaliers, and thanks for shout-outs on national television." So he gave some love there on national television there. If you got a chance to see the parade there on, I think ESPN had it, and a couple other sporting networks had it there. But Mexico, Missouri is actually has about 11,500 people there. I've actually been there before. It's a really cool, small little town. But yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. I was like, oh wow, I knew he went to Nebraska. I knew he was a Cornhusker, but I did not know he was he was a local product there. So congratulations to him, and also congratulations to the Cavaliers as they win their national championship, or a NBA championship there. Last time that city seen a championship was back in 1948, where the Cleveland Indians won the World Series. So nice job there for them. And the Cavs, like I said, that one was just a game that LeBron was dead set on winning. He did not look back, especially there in the fourth quarter. They really just ran away with it. And, of course, a lot of people are saying that, what happened in Game 6, the referees are keeping a close eye on Curry and everything. And that may be true. I don't, for the most, I did watch some of the game. I caught most of the last quarter. Of course, I was watching the pay-per-view. But for the most part there, I mean, it was I seen the first half, and it was a really close game and everything, and I really thought, I'm like, this might be the Warriors may come back and just put a boot to their throat and just say, hey, we're going to close you out, and it'll be a close game where Cleveland is going to have to make a shot to win the game. But Cleveland really, the second half of that basketball game there, just played some really good basketball and just did a great job there holding on to the win there and winning that one. Now, as you know, also too, the NBA draft was this past week, and of course you got new guys draft and whatnot. And I didn't get a chance to watch it, so I apologize that I was going to try to get into more detail about that and whatnot, but I really didn't get a chance to get into it. But I know there were a lot of trades, because one of the trades that kind of dropped my jaw was this one. I'm like, wow, the Bulls have no faith in him at all. Like, they're really set on, they have their guy. They know Jimmy Butler is going to be their guy for the future, which is to me, Derrick Rose seemed like he was because he's from Chicago. That was his hometown. And I thought that was a perfect fit for him and everything. But Derrick Rose ends up getting traded, and he goes to the Knicks. Yeah, the Knicks, which got me thinking, what are the Knicks thinking? Let's just get to it. Let's be honest. Rose is not the same guy that he was when he played his college basketball there in Memphis, especially the season that they lost the national championship against Kansas. Of course, if you guys know about that, he technically shouldn't have been in any of those games, because we later learned that he did not take his ACTs to get in that school. So when he had allegedly Calipari had it rigged and whatnot to get him signed to so he'd be part of that basketball team. And of course, you guys can all take that with a grain of salt. But really, since his first season in the NBA, which he was pretty much just the guy and hands down MVP. Since that first season, he has not played very well. He has not completed a full season. He's actually missed a season and a half there in his career. And he had a rough comeback here. As late, he has been kind of off and on the roster, and I'm kind of wondering, like, okay, does the Knicks know something that we don't know? Is he now, of course, now the Knicks have their 3 now guys they can have, and they could make a good strong push there in the East now. And things could be turning around for him, and I do. I wish him the best for things for him. But a lot of people are going around saying, "Hey, this is Knicks again are making another bad decision on a guy that he's not going to give you many minutes on the floor. He's not going to be around that often because of injuries that have plagued him because he is injury prone." So yeah, he's a fragile little man. I wish the best for him, and I wish the best for the Knicks coming up here this season. It's gonna be really interesting to see how it's gonna work out and whatnot. And I don't know, he may prove us wrong. So, but I just cannot believe he's gonna be leaving Chicago, and he's gonna go to the Knicks of all places. I really thought maybe he was gonna be going somewhere that was going to use him as a bench player or something like that. But of course, he's the type of guy I think he wanted to be on the court, as a starter and stuff like that. But with him, again, being accident prone and just bad luck for him when it comes to just trying to get on the court. I don't know. I just kind of get my head just trying to get my head wrapped around it and try to figure out why they're doing that. So. But also another news there in the NBA, looks like Dwight Howard and Kevin Durant will be opting out of their contracts there. Of course, well, at least for Derrick, I know for Dwight Howard, he is going to be opting out with the Houston Rockets, so he can look around and try, dabble in the free agency pool. As for Durant, it's unknown. No one knows. There's a rumor saying that he was going to go off and opt out. Others say that he's talking to the, I believe it was the Knicks and the Wizards. There was another story going out, I think just today earlier today when I was looking on the internet, he was possibly wanting to join the Golden State Warriors with Curry and them. So, honestly, we don't know yet. He is one of the hot commodities right now, coming when it comes to free agency right now. And I know Oklahoma City would love to keep him, but if they keep him, they have to turn things around. They have to. They cannot be a team that is always at the brink of, that one game of going to the NBA Finals or getting to the NBA Finals and losing that one game that could push them to winning a championship. They got to really do a better job and try to bring some good role players in there to help out with him and with Westbrook there. So, honestly, with Westbrook alone there in Oklahoma City, it's going to be tough. It's going to be really tough. That will definitely be a team that will be not going to the playoffs anytime soon, and it'll be probably another 2 or 3 years before we see them in the playoffs or even in the finals. So they can get that, enough time to get that right person or right persons on that team. Let's see. That is it for the NFL or NBA. And now let's go to the pro wrestling here and MMA. First off, we'll go in the MMA. We have learned that it'll be September that we'll see a debut from CM Punk. CM Punk will debut in UFC. Unknown who his fighter is, but he will be at UFC 203. and he'll make his debut there. Of course, Brock Lesnar, as you know, he'll be making his UFC return at UFC 200 here in about a couple of weeks. And then apparently he will be coming back at for SummerSlam here with the WWE. Unknown who his opponent will be, or if he'll be if he'll have a match. But apparently he is scheduled to be part of SummerSlam, because especially with this draft coming up here for the WWE. I'm assuming he's gonna be on Raw. He won't see him on SmackDown. He'll be a Raw exclusive type of superstar. But yeah, I wonder how that's gonna factor in. If he's gonna be up for the title, or is gonna be or who is he gonna face? A lot of people are rumors saying it's gonna be Kevin Owens. It could be possibly Kevin Owens, making fun of him depending on how he does in the UFC fight. It could be possibly Kevin Owens calling him out if he does lose that fight, because a lot of people are saying that Brock is not, he hasn't been in the octagon that long. He hasn't been in the octagon. It's been a while since he's been in there, and his first battle. I don't know who the guy is. He's a well-known guy. He's well known in the UFC and whatnot. But by saying that he could, this could be a big win for him. And it would not look too good on the character of Brock Lesnar as being the Beast, but in some ways it could be in his favor. I mean, it could, numbers wise for the WWE, this will look good because, it could be a comeback story for him, and fighting, losing. I'm hoping he don't lose purposely in the UFC, but if he does happen to lose in the UFC for whatever reason, it'd be a good comeback story for him, and to kind of help, not necessarily get Kevin Owens over, but to get him catapulted up to more of a main event type of guy. So we'll see how that goes here, and that'll be here in another couple weeks here, UFC 200. Of course, Money in the Bank we'll review real quick. The matches of the night for me, of course, was the Money in the Bank itself. Dean Ambrose winning the Money in the Bank contract. The tag team match was really, really good. Some of the matches, I don't know, it seemed like it was just not a good night. It was just kind of slow pace. The ending for the AJ Styles and John Cena match, I kind of figured that was going to be the case, because that's basically setting up for everything for SummerSlam coming up, which will be in August, and that'll be the final match between those two, because we're seeing them winning this next pay-per-view coming up. Yeah, it's just, I think, I don't know, for that match, I don't know, for some reason it just wasn't, I guess it wasn't there. And for the pay-per-view overall, I would give it a 7. It wasn't that exciting, with the exception of the Money in the Bank, and of course the last match of the night, the main event match, Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns doing quite well. And of course, what a lot of people were predicting, saying that Dean Ambrose was going to cash in, which he did, and he cashed in very successfully on Seth Rollins to become the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. So Seth Rollins was the champion, and turns around and loses it there on against Dean Ambrose, and as the Ambrose cashes in the Money in the Bank. So yeah, that was kind of my matches of the night there. Like I said, not a big, pay-per-view wasn't that great. I give it a 7. It wasn't awful, but it was just, there were some good matches, there were some good points. One of the things I think really hurt me was the kickoff matches. You got Golden Truth going against Breeze Dango. I get it's a gimmick match and whatnot, but I kind of like some of these people are about Tyler Breeze. You brought Tyler Breeze up. He's a great guy in the ring and outside the ring. His promos are great. He's good on the mic. Why do you guys have to team him up with somebody? He could, he had those matches against Dolph, and then it seemed like after that it was like, yeah, we don't know what to do with you, so we'll just here, you and Fandango get together. I hate this when WWE, and maybe when they have the brand extension, they have the draft, we'll see him maybe in a more of a packaged capacity like he was when he was in NXT, or when he was brought up for the first time, or brought up to the WWE main roster here back a couple months ago. So that'd be something nice to see. And of course, to wrap up the show, actually two things to wrap up the show. The big news, of course, of all things in WWE this week, we learned on Tuesday morning that former WWE champion Roman Reigns is going to be suspended for 30 days because of the wellness program that they have there at WWE. It's unknown. They have never released of what he actually used or why he's on a suspension, but it is because of the wellness policy, and of course that's an open book for their policy. And of course, honestly, WWE in the future don't really say what it is. A lot of people are speculating how they're just going to affect the triple threat match that him, Seth, and Dean are going to be a part of, and if WWE is going to use that, because then last time they did something like that, they suspended a superstar who was a champion and suspended, had him drop the title and then suspended him. It was Jeff Hardy, and they kind of implement that in the storyline where he was, they give him a hard time because he was, on drugs, he was smoking pot, and this whole about the whole grab that brass ring. You're always screwing up every time you get close to getting that brass ring. You screw it up. Blah blah blah. He had some great matches there with Triple H at that time. And he's actually one of the first. I guess you could say unofficially. I guess you could say he's one of the first members of the whole so-called brass ring club. But yeah, WWE's used it before in the past, and I wouldn't be surprised if they use it again here on Roman to kind of get him, maybe even make him look. They could go either way with it. They can make him look like, I mean, on his Twitter, he admitted he was sorry he apologized to his family, his friends, and most importantly, WWE and the WWE universe for what has happened, and he says that he's going to take responsibility for it. So, he could turn that around and use it, maybe use it as a heel tactic, or keep him as what he is right now, which is a baby face, and kind of redemption, kind of a storyline. But we'll have to see how that goes with him. Of course, that match was made, and then on Monday, same thing on Monday night. It looks like AJ Styles and of course John Cena could go at it again for the WWE, or for match number 2 again between John Cena and AJ Styles. And then finally, it was released here this week. It was actually leaked about the upcoming schedule for WWE pay-per-views. Looks like September 11th, Backlash. That will be a SmackDown pay-per-view. Then you got the September 25th. It'll be the Clash of the Champions. It'll be a Raw exclusive pay-per-view. And then October 9th, No Mercy returns as a SmackDown pay-per-view. October 30th will be Hell in a Cell. That'll be a Raw exclusive pay-per-view. And then December 4th will be a pay-per-view. It'll be a TLC. It'll be a SmackDown. And then a December 18th, it'll be Roadblock. It'll be a Raw pay-per-view. One thing I'm a little upset about is coming up in November, Survivor Series. Well, of course, the big 4 pay-per-views like Raw, or like Survivor Series, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, and SummerSlam will all be a double promote. Be a promotion for both brands. But the Survivor Series pay-per-view is in Canada. It's in Toronto, Canada, and when I learned about that, I'm like, oh, great! Like, I gotta get a passport now if I'm gonna go to this pay-per-view, because I've been doing that here on the Survivor Series pay-per-views usually on the same week as my birthday, and so now I'm gonna have to go look into getting a passport to go to Toronto. So I think I'm looking forward to that trip. I really want to do it, but I got to go into now and here later this week. Here I gotta go and get paperwork done so I can get a passport to exit in and out of the exit in and return back into the country. So, but yeah, those are the pay-per-views that were released there. Of course, the more will come out later on as we go along. Of course, the big draft is coming up here on July 19th. They're on the WWE. They're on the USA Network live. It'll be SmackDown Live now. SmackDown will be live 2 hours every single week on Tuesday nights, and a lot of people are really looking forward to this. So we're gonna see this extension branding again. You got John Laurinaitis, who made his announcement that he was wanting to run Raw or SmackDown. Of course, Shane says he's going to run both, and of course, Stephanie says nope, she's going to run both. She's going to take care of it. So one of the two is going to have Raw, one of the other two is going to have SmackDown, and we'll see who's going to be the person with the better brand. But that right there is the nutshell of the show this week. Like I said, quite a few things I wanted to talk about, and then kind of pass off some news to you guys. But let me know down below in the description what you guys think of this week's show. Not to mention, give me some ideas for next week's show. I was going to talk about the Cruiserweight Classic, but I learned the Cruiserweight Classic is next month. I believe it is on July 13th on the WWE Network. But there has been a lot of videos about the Cruiserweight Classic, and you definitely guys got to check those out. Go to the WWE YouTube page on there. They have some really good interviews with some of the cruiserweights there for the Cruiserweight Classic, and if they are bringing back a Cruiserweight championship title, these are some good guys that could hold to be well represented in that division there. So it'd be really cool to see how that all plays out. But that is it for this week in here on Sports Gamers Soapbox Podcast Talk. Thank you guys so much, and get ready for episode 11. We'll see what goes on in the crazy world of sports here. I know something's going to go crazy. Something's going to go down crazy or something, and we'll try to cover it here for next week's show. So thank you guys so much. As always, if you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and check out other great series and videos here on ESGNet. Not to mention, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr. The links are down below in the description. Get the latest news and information on when videos are coming out by way of those social media platforms. So thank you guys so much for listening to me, and as always, keep yourselves healthy, and I will see you guys next time.